What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Now, before we get into the battles today, I just want to address why I haven't been uploading videos over the last week. I was actually at the North American International Championships in New Orleans. This was the largest Pokemon Go PvP event that we've ever had in North America. Over 350 people signed up, and it was a stacked event. I was actually able to win the entire tournament, and I think that would make for a very cool video idea in the future. I was able to win Portland pretty recently as well, which I think would also make a nice video. I'm thinking maybe put out the Portland video in about early July, and then potentially late to mid-July, put out the NAIC video. I want to put a lot of time into them, make sure that they're high quality, and I think you're going to enjoy, so I hope if you want to see that, you'll subscribe to the channel, maybe leave a like on this video. But today we also have a video showcase of Shadow Victreebel in the Summer Cup. This is going to be a very fun Pokemon to use. Acid recently got that buff. Victreebel, I think, is one of the best Pokemon to make use of it, so let's get into the battles and see what this Pokemon can do. Alright, let's get right on into it here. We see Shadow Victreebel as our lead into a Shadow Zapdos. Honestly, a little bit of a tricky lead matchup here. We see a Flying type against our Grass type, but take a look at this. It's Shadow into Shadow, and Acid is one of the best fast moves in the game right now. It does so much damage to this Shadow Zapdos. I think there's a chance we can just 2-shield, fully farm down if we commit to only going for fast move pressure. If I throw a charge move, that gives them an extra fast move of their own. So I'm just going to go fully fast move farm down against this Pokemon. Classic Shadow Vic plays. And what is this? They swap in a Shadow Swampert, of all things, into our Grass-type Pokemon. And while Shadow Swampert is spammy well, they do have 2 shields to hide behind. I don't think they can reach a move before I can reach 3 Leaf Blades. We're back-to-back right now. Our opponent could not CMP. They were only at 4 before I threw that last move. I CMP on their 5th Mudshot. This means this Leaf Blade will delete this Swampert. We're basically sweeping a whole team with Shadow Victreebel in the top left. They don't even want to see what we have in the back line. GG there to our opponent. All right, next game. A little bit of a more neutral matchup than that Zapdos. Obviously, Galvantula, another electric-type Pokemon, can be a little bit tricky, especially because they do have access to Fury Cutter here. But because we are able to go for a lot of fast pressure with Acid, as well as just go for very spammy Leaf Blades, I think the longer this goes on, the better it gets for us. Leaf Blade number 1 being thrown, our opponent very likely will end up going for the shield here. Could be a Sludge Bomb. Yeah, they do shield. They know at this point, though, this is not enough energy for a Sludge Bomb. They could call this attack, but honestly, even with that debuff, even with the resisted damage, very high attack Pokemon like Shadow Victreebel doesn't really care about type effectiveness. I think I can go for a shield and farm down after landing that Leaf Blade. In comes another lunge here. It does lower my attack stat just a little bit more, so now I'm going to be doing about 50% of the damage I would normally do. Dude, what is this? Is that Heliolisk with Mud Slap I'm seeing here? I think so. Honestly, a very bad Pokemon for a backline, but I'm able to reach 2 Leaf Blades against this before going completely down with the fast pressure. Leaf Blade coming through. It does draw the shield here from Heliolisk, but they get a decent amount of energy against us, which could be a little bit tricky. Now, while we are going to take a lot of super effective Mud Slap damage on our Electric-type Pokemon, I know we have almost no damage against them with our Jellicent. I think I do have to come in Belly Bolt here. Parabolic Charge coming through. It does boost our defense stat, but because we resist it, it doesn't do too much to us. Let's see what they're going to throw here in just a second. Our opponent going for, this time, the Breaking Swipe, actually. Going to lower our attack stat. Not ideal, but we still Sucker Punch them all the way down. We have a Zap Cannon ready to go against this Tentacruel. Our attack is decreased by a stage here. In comes a move. Doesn't quite one-shot them, but it is basically enough, and Jelly can close out that game. GG there to our opponent. Next game, Licky Licky in the lead. Interesting Pokemon. Honestly, didn't even realize this Pokemon was eligible in this cup, but I guess it makes sense. I guess normal types are allowed. The thing is, our backline is kind of weak to this. We have Hex as our fast move on Jellicent. That wouldn't do too much damage to this. And if they have Shadow Ball and Earthquake, that coverage is fantastic against our Electric type as well as our Ghost type in the backline. So Shadow Victreebel, probably our best way to take this down. We call a Body Slam bait here. They go for an alignment throw, giving us a full Acid Sneak, and in comes yet another Body Slam against our Shadow Victreebel. We shield that up because I know we're so squishy and we do want to knock out this Licky Licky if we can to make it so our backline isn't quite as concerned about this. Leaf Blade coming through. It does draw the first shield from this Licky Licky. Yet another sneak by our opponent. They think at this point they just want to get shields down against us, but I'm fine getting all of this energy. Our opponent safe swapping a Tentacruel. I bank 2 Leaf Blades and come in with our Jellicent. I know that in this meta, there's a lot that you can do with Shadow Victreebel energy, and I know there's no energy, or no move rather, that this Tentacruel can have that would do anything to our Jellicent. Shadow Ball coming through, this should be able to basically two-shot them, especially because we did avoid that Scald attack drop that they could have potentially got against us here. In comes yet another charge move, likely going to be a Scald once again, and while they are running Acid as their fast move, which we know is a fantastic fast move, Jellicent is just so bulky, and we do resist that Poison-type damage, making this such a good matchup for us. Shadow Ball number 2 being thrown. Our opponent could shield this up if they want to, but I think it would be a bit of a waste. They agree at this point point, that's not where they want to invest. In comes a Golisopod, and we do have these back-to-back Leaf Blades. I don't want to give them a huge Shadow Claw farm down against our Ghost-type Pokemon, so I swap out to Victreebel. Even if they catch, which it looks like they might have done against us here, we still have our Belly Bolt in the backline that can go for Parabolic Charge against them and basically one-shot them. They do Shadow Claws all the way down. A little bit awkward for us here, but honestly, Belly Bolt, it's pretty bulky, especially here in Ultra League. I know we can tank 2 charge moves. Aqua Jet, X's, or whatever they're going to throw is not going to do enough to knock us out in 2 hits. Aqua Jet is the slightly more efficient move. In comes our Parabolic Charge. Our opponent, realizing not much they can do here, they ended up top-lefting on that attack, and GG to our opponent. All right, next game, let's see what we have Shadow Victreebel into. It's going to be actually the opposing Belly Bolt. And while Electric generally is not a typing that's good into grass types, we do have to keep in mind Belly Bolt does have Sucker Punch as their fast move, at least potentially. Maybe they don't. I know that I've seen a couple people running Thunder Shock on their Belly Bolts, which is kind of interesting. They did instantly swap out, though, into a Cradilly, which is a little bit surprising to me. I think that, honestly, Belly Bolt might have a better matchup into Shadow Victreebel than this Cradilly might, but honestly, get this thing out of the way, and I should be in a good spot. But that Belly Bolt in the backline could put in work against our backline too, right? At this point, our Jellicent doesn't have a ton of play from what we've seen from our opponent right now. Leaf Blade number 1 coming through does not quite get the one-shot them there because our opponent obviously has lowered my attack stat with these Rock Tombs. And I'm going to try to get to back-to-back Leaf Blades here in just a second. Even after these 2 debuffs, this should be enough to either draw a shield or knock out this Cradilly. In comes our first Leaf Blade, our opponent going to opt to let it go. We have a lot of energy left over. Let's see what they're going to do. This is looking a little bit awkward depending on what they have in the backline. They come in with that Belly Bolt here, and I don't want to give them a huge farm down against us. They come in with their own Shadow Victreebel, and man, this Pokemon is going to start putting in work against us. Maybe I should have gone instantly for the Parabolic Charge, but I want to at least threaten the Zap Cannon. I know that at this point we survive one Leaf Blade one way or another. We go straight for the Zap Cannon. Does our opponent respect this, or do they go for the no shield? Unfortunately for us, they end up shielding the attack, which means now they get a full farm down against us. I should have gone for Parabolic Charge, obviously, there. That means now the Shadow Victreebel has so much energy, and our Jellicent just had nowhere to go in this game. Double Grass-type Pokemon with a Belly Bolt in the lead. In comes the Sludge Bomb. This should knock us out here. I'm not sure if a Leaf Blade would have knocked out. I think it does do about 25%, so probably should have gone for it. But yikes, GG there to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Vic into the regular Venusaur. Battle of the opposing grass and poison type Pokemon. We're actually going to see our opponent stay in for just a second, but the thing is, while we are using very similar fast attacks, mine is neutral against them, whereas we extremely resist that grass type damage with our grass and poison type Pokemon. They try to catch maybe a Sludge Bomb, I guess, on this Belly Bolt here, but I'm kind of fine staying in. I like getting that chip damage against them, build up a bit more energy, and then force them to throw resisted charge moves into my own Belly Bolt. In comes a Parabolic Charge. Once again, resisted damage into my Electric type. Not that big of a concern. They might be able to get to a second one here before my first Parabolic Charge actually looks like it's a CMP instead, which means we can get a decent amount of damage. Maybe put them into a Sucker Punch down range and neutralize this Belly Bolt if we can. I also have to keep in mind there's already 2 answers to our Jellicent. I'm hoping whatever their final Pokemon is not going to be the end of the world for our little jellyfish in the backline. In comes that Venusaur once again, but because of that defense increase, I think there's a chance we might survive this Frenzy Plant. We do survive. I bank a move on that Pokemon, and then I swap in instantly into our Shadow Victreebel. Parabolic Charge wouldn't have done too much damage to Venusaur, so I think that at this point, keeping it around for later on could be the right play to make. Sludge Bomb should knock them out if they end up letting it go. They might shield because they do have some energy. No, down goes the Venusaur, which means that's a lot of energy gone on that Pokemon, and they have 2 answers to our Jellicent that have already been pretty chipped down. Final Pokemon going to be revealed here. We have almost 2 Leaf Blades for the Shadow Feraligatr. We have a Parabolic Charge on our Belly Bolt. This game is looking very good for us. In comes our next Leaf Blade. No catch attempt by our opponent, which means this should either get a knockout or draw their final shield. Leaf Blade coming through. It does end up drawing that shield. In comes our Parabolic Charge. Belly Bolt on 1 HP, able to get this move off. I don't think this is quite enough to one-shot them here, but man, that's going to come close, and I think we can farm them all the way down with Victreebel, potentially even with our Jellicent if we need to. In comes the next move here from the Gator. Likely a Hydro Cannon. We'll draw our final Protect Shield, but we can Acid them all the way down. In comes that Belly Bolt, but they're so low at this point, Acid is all we need. We're able to win the game without even needing our Jellicent. Next matchup is another one of these Cradilly leads. Very neutral lead matchup here. We know Acid is such a strong move, but we're both using it, right? It's going to be stab damage here for our Shadow Victreebel, but honestly, because of how squishy we are, it's not going to do that much extra damage. They safe swap their Skeleturge, although this Skeleturge, it looks like they're not running Incinerate, which is the more common fast move you see. They're running Hex. Hex is going to be a very interesting option, a little bit quicker pacing, and it does have that Ghost-type offensive pressure, which I think could be helpful against Pokemon like my Jellicent. I would have been a little bit more sloppy in this game and I brought my Jellicent into the Skeleturge, I don't know if I could have won Switch Advantage, so bringing in my Sucker Punch Belly Bolt instead looks to be the proper play. We get a full farm down against that Skeletors despite their Torch Song boosts, and I'm going to try to reach for a Zap Cannon if I can. Looks like we're barely able to reach this move here. Our opponent could shield us up if they want to, but it's not going to knock them out, but it will put them deep into the yellow. I don't know if this is quite range where a Leaf Blade could knock them out, but they make a catch on a Typhlosion. If this is a Shadow Typhlosion and they no-shield though, that's still a decent amount of damage. We do one extra acid to get more faster pressure into them and bring in our Jellicent here to absorb all the damage that they're going to throw. Incinerate is resisted, but these Thunder Punches are super effective. Basically enough damage here to two-shot us if they are able to land the attacks. But I'm knowing at this point that as long as I can take down this Typhlosion, our Shadow Victreebel in the backline should be able to close out this game, as long as we're going to be able to make sure this Pokemon doesn't swap out with a lot of HP. In comes another Thunder Punch here. Our opponent does go and get our shield, but because we're hexing them down into a range where even acids might be enough to knock them out, we should be able to win this match. In comes that Surf, in comes the final shield from our opponent, and now I know we could match shields here, but I can just shield whatever they're going to throw, acid them all the way down, and then go for a Leaf Blade against that Cradily in the backline, and we should be able to win this game. We're not quite at a move yet on that Typhlosion, so I can go for the shield against this Rock Tomb, go for the Leaf Blade into this Cradily, and acid down that Fire-type Pokemon. In comes the Leaf Blade. Our opponent, no shields remaining, is going to not quite get knocked out, but basically get knocked out there. A couple acids will be all it takes to knock out this Shadow Typhlosion. GG there to our opponent. Next game, a Victreebel into Shadow Typhlosion. We just saw this matchup a second ago, not in the head-to-head lead, but in the backline. So let's see what we can do here. In the lead matchup, that's one of the worst things I could honestly see. Shadow Typhlosion, though, staying into our Belly Bolt C-Swap, so potentially we have play here still in the back. In comes a Parabolic Charge, and we do draw a shield. Obviously, Shadow Typhlosion, even in Ultra League, is still pretty squishy. I'm going to go for a shield and see what our opponent wants to do. Last burn comes through. It does end up getting our shield, and I'm going to no-shield this next one. This is all of their energy down the drain. If they want to sacrifice their Typhlosion at this point, they can be my guest, because once this is gone, I'm hoping that our Shadow Victreebel is going to have a lot more play. Jellicent comes in, and these hexes here are going to do a decent amount of faster pressure against them. In fact, they don't throw instantly, giving us the chance to go for a Surf, before they're able to either draw a shield or get any sort of sizable damage against us. They do end up shielding, which is so strange in my opinion. Either they're really weak to our Jellicent, or they're just so confident into our team in the back line that they're just going to put it all on whatever they have in the back. I'm going to no-shield my Jellicent, go for that shield advantage Shadow Victreebel, now that we've kind of neutralized this Pokemon. In comes the Golisopod here. I go for the Leaf Blade, but I actually was looking this up after the fact. So the Sludge Bomb actually does do just a little bit more damage. So if I would have gone for Sludge Bomb, potentially I could have gone for a one-shield farm down, but I think going for that Leaf Blade here might mean I'm going to be forced into going for 2 Leaf Blades and waste a lot more energy than I'd like. If you go after 5 of these acids here, yeah, that's just like 5% HP remaining. There's actually a good chance a Sludge Bomb would have put them into a farm down range, whereas these double Leaf Blades waste about 2 acids of energy against our opponent, and their final Pokemon is revealed as, okay, thank goodness, that is a Thunder Shock Belly Bolt. If this was potentially on Sucker Punch, that could be pretty bad, but because they are on the other fast move, the resisted damage here, it's not going to be able to farm us all the way down. I think there's a good chance that we can go for Leaf Blade, knock them out, and survive just long enough to win this game. I'm going to overfarm as much energy as we can to be at the move, and then to be at one away from the next move, meaning that potentially we can go for 1 acid, go for the Leaf Blade, and knock out this Typhlosion before an Incinerate is even able to register. In comes a Leaf Blade, our opponent, no shields remaining. It will get knocked out. 1 HP Shadow Victreebel getting a fantastic endgame sweep. GG there to our opponent. Next game, Galvantula in the lead. Once again, we saw this earlier on today, and honestly, this matchup was pretty good straight Leaf Blade, so I don't really see a reason to change it up too much. In fact, this time, I'm not even going to bait. This is going to be an undebuffed Leaf Blade. We saw how much a debuffed Leaf Blade would do. Our opponent, realizing that they probably still have to shield the attack up here, ends up going for the shield on that, and now I'm going to shield myself because I love Shadow Victreebel. I might as well keep it around if I can. In comes that lunge, down goes my attack stat, but Leaf Blade's still going to do a massive amount of damage, as we saw earlier today. And our opponent this time will actually double shield their Galvantula. Very interesting play. I could shield this up if I wanted to. This time, though, I'm going to opt to no shield, hoping that once this Galvantula is out of the way, that our Jellicent is going to have more play. Belly Bolt should be able to come in, farm them all the way down, hopefully only take 1 charge move here, and come out of this with enough energy to put in some work against the backline. Our opponent going for a lunge against us, doing about half of our HP. Man, these Fury Cutters honestly are adding up quite a bit. Maybe I should have gone for the shield with our Shadow Victreebel in that lead matchup, because at this point, our Belly Bolt is so low it's debuffed, and now this is not looking great. We're in the Belly Bolt mirror match, and we're so low, we're debuffed. We go for a Zap Cannon, but that just bounces right off our opponent here. In comes the charge move, and I don't know how we're going to knock this Pokemon out at this point. In comes the Parabolic Charge, and it is able to boost their defense stat, just realizing now they're actually on Thunder Shock, meaning they don't have a lot of faster pressure against us, but these defense boosts are going to come out very quickly. Parabolic Charge number 2 gonna increase their defense even more? I'm reaching for the Zap Cannon, knowing that it does do slightly more damage and is slightly more efficient than Parabolic Charge, but because of those 2 defense increases, they don't take any damage from it. I come in with Jellicent here, hoping that maybe I can survive a Parabolic Charge, maybe I can get to a Surf. Our opponent going for that Parabolic Charge, it puts us down to about half HP, and they're able to outpace us to the next attack here. I think I can survive this, but I don't think there's any Pokemon in the backline that I could necessarily beat with a Jellicent this low into the red. I'm forced to throw energy against this. I just want to see what the final Pokemon is at this point, but man, this ABA Electric team absolutely dismantling me. Tentacruel in the back, we actually had a lot of play there. Unfortunately for us, not with the way we played it. All right, next game, Beware in the lead. Beware of the bear, I guess. I guess this is where I want to see it. My Sucker Punches would be resisted by that Fighting-type Pokemon, and our opponent safe swaps an Oranguru. Very interesting team from our opponent. ABA normal-type Pokemon so far. Maybe it's a triple normal team. Maybe it's just going to be something random in the back. Either way, our Belly Bolt with super effective Sucker Punch is in a very good spot. Parabolic Charge coming through. Our opponent likely will let this go at this point. I'd be surprised if they invested in this Pokemon, saying this is such a bad matchup for this monkey to be in. They end up going for another Charge Attack, and as long as this is not a future sight, we should be able to survive and farm them all the way down. In comes that Foul Play here, and we do get a full farm down. That Confusion does not register, meaning we still have quite a bit of HP. We have a lot of energy as well. I'm going to reach for the full-on Zap Cannon. Our opponent will have to no-shield this if they don't want to go down shields in this game. Zap Cannon comes through, does not quite get the one-shot against them, but they come in with a Simul Swap into the Shadow Typhlosion. Fantastic play by our opponent at this point. Shadow Victreebel taking so much faster pressure. They do no-shield the Leaf Blade, but honestly, look at how much damage that ended up doing. I can reach another Leaf Blade before getting completely farmed down, and while they have a lot of energy here, I think I might be able to go for a farm down against this Pokemon and go for 2 Surfs against that Beware when it comes back in. Now, I know Beware could be a little bit threatening if they have access to Payback, and 1 Thunder Punch does not knock me out, so I'm going to no-shield 1, shield the next, and then go for 2 Surfs if I can when that Beware swaps back in. Thunder Punch coming through, it does draw our first shield. Our opponent comes back in the Bear, but we have access to the first Surf. Second Surf is going to come up very shortly. And obviously, our opponent does have to shield this move. We have no faster pressure against this normal and fighting type Pokemon, so I do have to throw energy to knock them out. But because we have this shield remaining, and because they superpower, there's no chance they have to knock us out. Surf coming through, our opponent at this point will be knocked out, and we can hex down the rest of that Typhlosion. Jellicent able to close out this endgame. GG to our opponent, very spicy team. Next game, Shadow Vic into a Skeleturge of all things. Not a great lead matchup here. I'm going to go for a single Acid and then swap out, mainly because I want to get a bit of energy if I can on my Shadow Victreebel. While it's not going to do a lot to the Skeleturge, energy could be good against the backline. In comes a charge move here. It's going to be a Disarming Voice. Interesting. All right, well, I was expecting a Shadow Ball or maybe a Torch Song there. Disarming Voice is an interesting option as well. Good coverage, but I don't know if it really hits much in this meta, so maybe they forgot to TM. In comes a Samurott as well. Haven't even talked about how crazy it is to swap in a Samurott into a Belly Bolt, but I guess with the chip damage they have, they can actually survive a Parabolic Charge, and if they do want to invest a shield, they can go down shields to keep switch. But I guess I'm also fine with that if they end up going that route, because I got a lot of Sucker Punch chip damage into that Skeleturge, and I think I can just go for a full Hex down with our Jellicent against this Samurott. And comes a Hydro Cannon into us here. I know I resist basically every single charge move that the Samurott can learn. We're able to take that move, and I'm hoping they're not going to get to another one, because while I do resist it, it would put us to about half HP, and they reveal their final Pokemon. It's actually a Jellicent of their own. Very interesting team by our opponent. They're actually triple weak to our Belly Bolt, triple weak to our Jellicent as well. That's a crazy team, honestly, in this meta, but I think at this point we're in such a good spot. In Ultra League, Shadow Ball doesn't quite get a one-shot against this Pokemon, so I think I'll need a Shadow Ball as well as a Surf to KO this Jellicent. In comes the Shadow Ball. Our opponent at this point, no shields remaining. This will do a massive amount of damage into them, and there's no energy remaining on that Skeleturge, so as long as we're always at least 3 hexes away from a Surf, we should be able to outpace that Fire-type Pokemon and take the win without really needing much of our Shadow Victreebel in this game. Surf coming through against us, we ended up shielding the bait, but now Surf against them should actually be enough damage to knock them out. Our opponent does end up getting knocked out. In comes that Skeleturge once again. Our Sucker Punch damage has put them into a range where Surf very likely knocks them out. In comes a charge move. No shields remaining from our opponent. Is this enough? It is. We knock out the Fire-type Pokemon. Jellicent able to close out that backline. We didn't really need much of our Shadow Victreebel in that game. Next game here. Oh my goodness. I completely forgot this Pokemon was even an option in this meta. We have our Belly Bolt, which is a hard response, but man, this is looking pretty bad. We went for an Acid, and then we swapped out to our Jellicent, rather, to try to get a bit of energy lead if we can on our Victreebel, and interestingly, we actually draw a shield with that Surf. I'm kind of fine with that at this point. I know Sludge Bomb, as well as any moves that my Belly Bolt would throw against them, would do more damage than that Surf here, and getting a shield advantage could potentially be good for the backline. Our opponent comes in with a Kingdra, of all things here. Very interesting team. A debuff heavy team, from what I can tell. Octazooka, Feather Dance, a lot of attack drops that could possibly happen from our opponent. We actually reach another Shadow Ball here, and I'm kind of surprised how well we're tanking these Dragon Breaths. It's not able to fast move us down, at least not very quickly, which means they're actually forced into throwing energy into us here, which I'm fine with. I can let this go. I think I might get a full acid down against them. And while we aren't going to be in a great matchup against Pidgeot, I know that our Sludge Bomb, especially after the chip damage that we can get against them with our Acid Fasting Pressure, could potentially put in work. I Safe Swap here with my Belly Bolt, though I know we still have energy for the backline if I need it, but I was hoping that they wouldn't have a hard answer to our Belly Bolt here, which it turns out they do. Dilly, one of the worst matchups we can see. I can boost my defense, but they can lower my attack at the same exact time. Having the energy lead, though, means I can always boost my defense stat before these attack drops end up coming through, which means at the very least I can keep kind of up in pace with these attack drops and buffs. In comes our next Parabolic Charge. Our opponent likely going to let this go once again. Our attack being so low means that there's almost no reason to shield. But Sucker Punches here, they're chipping them down. I want to keep energy because I know I have energy on my Shadow Victreebel, and I know if I can get a shield against this Pokemon with a Leaf Blade from my Victreebel and save a Parabolic Charge on my Shadow Victreebel, there is a chance to win this game. Rock Tomb does come through. I'm going to go for the combo play, try to Leaf Blade them here in the middle of the animation. This should draw a shield or knock out the Pokemon. Our opponent does actually shield the attack up, which I think, in my opinion, is good for us right now, because now that no shields are left in play, Sludge Bomb can freely land against this Pidgeot. Not quite enough damage to one-shot them here, but potentially putting them into a Sucker Punch down range. Unfortunately, we don't quite knock them out with the acid damage, meaning I have to shield this up, and it's almost certainly a Feather Dance, but I know that they're not quite out of move with that Cradilly. I can go for a Zap Cannon. Will a -2 Zap Cannon be enough damage to knock out Cradilly? It's going to be close. Our opponent doesn't have any shields remaining. They are not able to survive. Belly Bolt able to close out that end game. We're able to close out the day here. This was actually a 3-1-1 set, just barely not reaching Veteran here in the Go Battle League. Unfortunately, we were so close for Elo off. Maybe tomorrow's going to be the day. But Shadow Victreebel here put in so much work. And Jellicent, Belly Bolt, I think they're just two of the most meta Pokemon in the entire Ultra League Summer Cup. So if you want to try this team out, I think this is about as fun of a team as it's going to get. Well, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.